So we begin with taking away the stress of the art, which often is a blank page. What do I draw? What do I add, do, put here? Now, if you start in a book to alter, you already have all of these things added. So you can begin with taking away, an art witch hack that frees you up to listen. So what are you listening to? Well, that depends on you, your practice, your beliefs. Deity, God, goddesses, ancestors, spirit of place, the spirit of the book itself, or your own subconscious. They all can speak. You get to decide who you're listening to. But one thing is certain, art witchery in its meditative state welcomes voices, remaining text and imagery is the portal opener, a way to connect to something or some place outside of yourself, a way to the hidden places that we can't normally access. So on this double page spread, I begin with taking away and listening. The butterfly challenged me. Why the fear around transformation? Are we building ourselves protective bubbles or prisons? The remaining text, as it always seems to, immediately offered up clarification, advice, answers, spell words. It offered up a call to balance and a warning about the ways that we can make ourselves disappear or lose ourselves. The phrase, overgrazing leads to erosion, is how I felt for such a long time. I felt I'd been eroding, unable to transform like a butterfly, stuck in a perpetual cocoon, which once had offered such safety, but now had become something way more sinister. Sometimes those protective bubbles can indeed become prisons. These words prompted me to ask, has it always been like this? And oh wow, did I learn some messed up lessons about how to protect myself when I was a kid. But that's what happens when your childhood nest has thorns. And look at this, a nest with a mama bird and 3 babies. This was me and my beautiful kids now, and it asked me, what nest can you build now without any thorns? You can see that the nest is an image that I've gone back to time and time again. Now these are mixed media pieces that I created for an exhibition about motherhood and its intrinsic need to protect. You can see that there is imagery using the nest, but also the square. Now the square for me is part of my visual language that I've developed over time. The square's meaning for me is one of protection. The nest and squares, a double whammy of protection, if you will. And today this nest whispered that this was an art spell to show me what protection truly is and what it never was. An art spell to let me see how to dismantle old ways that held the towers of others up. An art spell to transformation and setting butterflies free and putting myself in a softer nest that I never had, a way to treasure myself. You will see as I draw that I actually start to add squares. I want to draw a clear boundary line with what I thought about protection before and what I'm going to learn moving forward. So I can't tell you how important I found it as an art witch to develop this simple visual language, giving meanings to shapes, to lines, to colours, to textures. If you've never done this before, then begin now. It's almost like a visual shortcut to magic and a language that allows those voices to tap into, to communicate with you. It acts as a pathway of understanding to you and voices and other planes. So collect shapes, collect themes like I did with nests, collect it all and imbue everything with meaning, your meaning. And that visual language and the meanings that you imbue in things will change over time as you work as an art witch. Up until this point, the butterfly for me has simply been a language about transformation. But now the whole butterfly has come into focus. That idea of being trapped, the cocoon, about not becoming trapped, about freedom. The idea of freedom has come into that visual imagery now, and that's something that I can use going forward. Transformation, freedom, not getting lost in the process, not allowing the cocoon to become a prison. It's all there. That is being added into what my personal visual language as an art witch is. And as I continue to draw, I get whispers about safety, about how the desire to remain safe can stunt growth, that protective bubble the butterfly's in, stopping transformation. I get messages about the fact that we can't always remain completely safe if we want to grow. The fact that there is often freedom and growth on the other side of a comfort zone. I get messages about thorn forests growing where they shouldn't be, where once you thought you'd cleared the land to safety, but allowed a back door for a thorn forest to grow once more. All these conversations are coming in as I draw. I keep pen and paper next to me to write this down. This is gold that I don't want to lose. This is literally voices from my subconscious telling me answers. The art witch should always work with pen and paper nearby, ready to write down these messages, because believe me, you will forget them as quickly as they come in. Keep pen and paper nearby to write down these incredible truths that come in as you work. Another thing for the art witch to pay attention to as well is synchronicities and coincidences. The day before I started this double page spread, I had pulled a tarot reading with the Mysteries of Mary tarot deck, and I had been blown away by this card, the Four of Distaff. And you can see in my tarot journal, writing around the messages of this card, I'd even drawn a square, but an expanded square with coils around it and energy coming off it. I knew then when I'd drawn this that it was tapping into something around the square and what it means for me within my visual language. And then I looked again at the card. This is the card that depicts the fairy tale of Sleeping Beauty, which is a tale all about the ways we try and protect. The king ordering all of the spinning wheels destroyed. It still didn't protect Sleeping Beauty from pricking her finger. Then the thorns, the thorn wood appearing around the castle. Again, another link into what this page is telling me. That idea of the thorn wood. Is it protecting, or is it purposefully stopping new enlightenment and freedom coming in? The thorn hedge in the fairy tale was stopping people from waking up the sleeping princess. And then in its guidebook around this card, I read this incredible message. Have you created a hedge of thorns around your inner castle? It goes on to say, are you defending your heart or your mind against new light or information or experiences? What will it take for you to take down the hedge of thorns and to welcome the arrival of a prince? The prince is not meant to literally be a saviour who will arrive to rescue you from your own life. The prince is the young inner masculine, the active principle of choice and decision, and he will arrive within your psyche as an archetypal energy. It is then your choice to follow where he leads or not. And this gave me the biggest aha moment when I connected these synchronicities between this art witch work and my tarot practice. Here is the answer. Protection isn't about hiding away, about putting yourself in a prison where nobody can get to. Protection is about owning your inner prince, knowing that you can be free to make decisions that are good for you, to follow actions that are good for you, to follow a path where you are building your own soft nest, a nest without a lid. Nests don't have lids. Nests don't trap baby birds inside. Bubbles shouldn't trap us in, no matter how protective they feel. Here was the answer. The new protection was about action. It was about the how to improve, the how to transform, the how to stop the erosion, good choices, good actions, and owning those now for myself, rather than following the actions and choices that others had imposed upon me. And as I paper cut new nests that I was literally going to tear open in this art spell and set the butterflies free, I thought of the words that I'd written just the previous day in my tarot journal. I'd written, don't let aspects of you be lulled to sleep via the old status quo and the old ways and the old things you were told. Addictions, feelings of worthlessness, lack of hope, fear, anxiety. Chop down the hedge of thorns, let others in. The prince is the young inner masculine of action and good choices towards your goals. It is always your choice to follow these actions and decisions or not. Protection is divine masculine within you. It is your own little prince. How many of us have grown up on tales of the prince riding in to save us, only to be betrayed and broken by who we thought was our prince? And all the time the prince is a part of us, that action to make our best decisions for ourselves, to regard ourselves as treasure in the nest. And as I make butterflies to set free, I think about the amount of learning and healing and incredible magic and synchronicity within this art witch practice, within listening to voices, within subtracting and seeing what magic is left. It is the most incredible way to bring magic into your life. So, art witches, will you heed the call to take up your place and open the enchanted pages? Will you subtract and see what remains and not be stopped by a blank page? Will you focus on the journey of making as the way to open portals? Will you listen to those voices coming in as you create? Will you record the voices and your visual language as it develops so that you don't forget? Will you not be tripped up by the lie that it is the outcome that matters, but instead will you ride the dragon of process, proclaiming your power and scanning the landscape of creativity for synchronicities? Will you find the answers and the meanings and the warnings? Will you find the connections that emerge? It's quite the journey. Art witches arise.